Hey everyone, Grandmaster Ben Finegold here. Unfortunately, it may become necessary to um, not have comments on my videos anymore, to just remove the comments and not let people comment due to the insane comments people are leaving. I'm deleting them and reporting them to YouTube, but I don't know. I don't want to do that every day. So if it keeps happening, I'll just make sure there's no comments. Um, this happens a lot on YouTube. People and you know, people voted for Trump, so there's just a lot of lunatics out there, which is unfortunate. But if you read comments that don't make any sense, that's because they don't make any sense. It's not because they're true. So anyway, that's unfortunate. Um, last a lot of you know that I had a YouTube channel and I got rid of it. My videos because of things like this. There's a lot of things like this that make me not want to do videos anymore. Probably if I got rid of comments, that might make it more likely I continue doing the channel. So anyway, so I'll do something like that. I don't want to moderate everything every day, so I just don't want to do that. Okay. Well, round 7 was very interesting. It was probably my most interesting game. It was against John Burke, who I believe is 15. Um, Actually, there's a funny score now in the GM group. There's 3 players that have +2. A Wonder Liang, who's I think he's 14 years old, and +4 is a GM norm. Unfortunately, a Wonder lost in round 7. He was +3, so now he needs to win his last 2 games, and I'm playing him tomorrow morning. Probably it's this morning actually, since it's after midnight. In fact, by the time you watch this video, I might have already played him. So I'm playing a Wonder in round 8. We had 2 rounds a day the last 3 days, and now the next 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, just 1 round. Round 8's Monday, round 9 is Tuesday. And 2 other players, the Turkish player Ali Morandi is also at +2. And David Burke he started a streak after he beat me. He won his next 2 also. He's won 3 games in a row. It's funny, before he beat me, he hadn't won a game, and now he's tied for first. So there you go. So there's 3 players with +2, and there's 5 players with 50%, basically the rest of the field, including myself. And there's 2 players that have -3, and that's the 2 young players, Nico Cheka, and the World Under 12 champion, Nikhil Kumar. Okay, anyway, my game with John Burke was really interesting. I was unsure what opening to play. I had black pieces. And basically, I play 4 different moves with black. I play E6 or E5 and C6 or C5. Over the last, I would say, 10 years, I've played C5 the most. Over the last year, I've played them all pretty frequently. Probably I used to play E5 the most. I know I play it the least. Anyway, I decided to play the French again, twice in one tournament. It's probably been 20 years since I've done that. Played the French. When I was a child, between the ages of, I would say, 7 and 17, I only played the French. And I gave it up and started playing the Sicilian when I was sometime between 17 and 20. Okay, it doesn't matter if they play knight d2 or knight c3 for me. He plays knight d2, which I knew from my preparation. I take on e4. And this is my game with Ali Morandi from round 2, and he played knight eg5. And then I thought forever. I was prepared for that. My opponent played the most common move. John played bishop to d3. And he played something I haven't faced before. He took on f6 and played bishop f4. I want to show you a funny line that I didn't know. I'm not going to take with the queen anyway, although I guess it would be nice to try to mess his pawns up. Okay, but this is a funny line. Bishop g5, bishop takes f3, and then queen d2. The mysteries of chess. And you'll notice the black queen is trapped. This has happened many times because it looks like bishop g5 loses to bishop takes f3 until you see queen d2. Okay, so because the bishop on g5 is hanging, but queen d2 defends it. Anyway, I wasn't even thinking queen takes f6. That's a funny line. Okay, so knight takes f6, bishop f4. And this is actually theory, but I didn't know it. This has all been played. And something really weird happened after the game. So this position, which is sort of boring, we're trading. He told me that the main move here is castles. And I was like, this is theory? And he said, yeah, like on some games. Well, it may be theory, but in my database, there's like 2 games in this position, and black didn't castle neither one of them. So I don't know. I don't have any games with castles. Um, anyway, I'm sure castles is fine. I played g6, and now my opponent sacrificed / blundered a pawn. Since it's fine, we'll call it a sacrifice. Played rook a d1. Probably that's a mistake. Looks like a good move. And I played queen a5, threatening his e pawn and his a pawn. Well, the e pawn's very important, so he played rook fe1. And I figured I had to take the a pawn. That's why I played queen a5. And this is a really interesting position. And surprisingly, we both played really well this game because it was really complicated. Wow. This is my most complicated game of the tournament. It had a lot of things to calculate that were very interesting. So you're gonna like this game. Okay, so he semi-trapped my queen by playing the move b4. Now my queen can't go to a5 or a6 or c4 or c2 or d2 or anywhere. And I expected b4, and I thought a long time, and I played one of the moves the computer likes. I think it likes knight b6 also, but I played queen b3. Now, if I castle queenside ever, he could play rook a1 and take on a7 in some variations, and now he can't, because my queen's not on the a file. So now castling queenside is safer. I'm threatening the c3 pawn. And he thought a very long time. His move was very interesting. Played queen h4. Well, this prevents me from castling queenside, because it's illegal. And I felt like I had to take the second pawn, otherwise, why did I attack it? I didn't really want to castle either way. If I castle kingside, he can probably play bishop g6, but maybe bishop c4 wins. I mean, something wins. I'm not sure. I mean, just after seeing bishop takes g6, I'm just not going to castle because my knight's attacked now. I'm not sure if that's even the right move, but that dissuaded me from doing that. So, for example, if I play the tactical trick knight takes e5, which is not good, and the idea is if he takes it, then I take, or he could mouse slip. Hard to mouse slip when you're playing on a real board. Then I take his rook. Okay, that's a nice trick, except it doesn't work because instead of taking my knight, he just plays queen f6, attacking my rook and my knight. Okay. Okay, so queen takes c3, now I'm 2 pawns up. Will I live to tell? He played the move I expected. He played rook e3, threatening to move the bishop everywhere. I assume bishop takes g6 is the best move. And this is actually funny. There's a line where, for example, I'll show you the line I was looking at during the game. Let's say he moves his bishop somewhere, I don't know, f1. And I decide to take this pawn. So one line, which is pretty funny, is queen f6, knight f3 check, attacking his queen. Takes, takes, takes. I just assumed this was a draw. And in fact, it's possible white's not better, even though white's a piece up, because he has the wrong colored h pawn, and I have 1,000 pawns, and yeah, one structure is terrible. Let me see what the engine says. I'm assuming it's equal. Yeah, it says all zeros. Okay. Yeah, it says nobody's better. All right, so my judgment was correct there. However, after knight takes e5, instead of queen f6, he could preface that with rook e3, and then play queen f6. So that's probably just winning for him. Not that I would have played knight e5, just interesting variation that I saw. Okay, so he played rook e3. Now, my original intention was to play queen b2, and he thought I was going to play queen b3. And I was looking at it, I'm like, I don't know, king's pretty bad. And yeah, if I don't castle ever, I'll just get in trouble somewhere. Although if I do castle, I might also get in trouble. Taking pawns is a risky business. Okay, here I played a move that I actually didn't see until after he played rook e3, and he said he never saw it. When I played it, he was surprised. And the gawking rabble downstairs at the chess club, they were shocked at this move. The computer says it's okay. It doesn't win or anything, but it's a good move. I played g5. And the point of g5 is his queen is defending his b pawn, and his queen is stopping me from castling because it's illegal. And now he's got to give one of those up. And I was totally shocked by his response. So when I played g5, I spent a very long time calculating takes, rook b1. I didn't want to play queen e7 and lose my b pawn, but I didn't see anything else to do. And it turns out computer agrees. And even though I'm a pawn up, I was confused here. I didn't want to lose my h pawn because then he has a strong h pawn. So, and I didn't like this pin, so I wasn't sure what to do because I have 3 weak pawns. I just assumed I was better since I'm a pawn up. He doesn't really have a threat. And the computer agrees. It says like I'm 0.6 or 0.7 up. I could play a5. I could play h6. Okay. So this is good for me, but it's probably not winning, but it's much better for black. Okay. And that's what I expected. Okay. And he shocked me after g5. He played queen e4. And I was like, wow, I can castle queenside. So I thought of 2 moves here, castling queenside and a5. I don't think my opponent looked at a5. a5, I just want to play queen takes b4. And the computer was actually arguing with itself which move was better. The number 1 move was a5, then queenside castle, then a5, and I don't know which is better. I'd probably have to let it sit for a couple hours. Anyway, I played castles, and I calculated this variation, and then I changed my mind. So now white played the amazing move, which was one of the only moves I analyzed, which is bishop a6. Although he thought a long time before he played it. This is funny, on chess 24, if you thought you were gawking rabble, go to chess 24. And I see the comments because they stay there after the game. And I just saw one comment on this game, and it said, yeah, Finegold should have played knight f6, but that's not a human move, so you can't blame him for not playing it. In fact, when I long castled, that's the only move I looked at was knight f6. And then I thought 15 minutes or so here, and I changed my mind. So after knight f6, which is maybe a little too complicated for you at home, everything is hanging. I don't see something that's not hanging. And it looks like I'm threatening mate, but I'm not because he has bishop f1. Always play bishop f1. Okay, so this is pretty tricky. Well, he can't take my queen. That's totally ridiculous because I take with check, and then I take his queen, and then he has no pieces left. Okay, so that's easy calculation. He can't take my knight because then I win a rook, and he wins a knight. And then I go here, and he resigns. Okay, so he can't take my knight, and he can't take my queen. What can he do? So after knight f6, I thought, when I played castles long, this is the only variation I thought he could play, was takes, and then takes. Again, he can't take my queen because I take his queen, and I'm up. Actually, I don't take his queen. I play rook check first. Taking his queen's fine, but this is more accurate. And then I'm threatening the rook, and I'm threatening knight d2, and I'm 2 pawns up. Okay, so after knight f6, I thought the only line was rook takes d8, rook takes d8, e takes f6, rook d1 check, bishop f1, queen c1, threatening rook takes f1 mate. So I thought he had to play either g3 or h3. I take his bishop with check, he moves his king, and then I'm up 2 pawns, and it's my move. So I figured that was probably winning. Okay, and I was right. So I was pretty happy when he played bishop a6. Then I realized after knight f6, I saw he plays the move queen b1, and I spend like 10 minutes analyzing this. Ay. Okay, so my queen's hanging, and my knight's hanging. Okay, so I analyzed rook takes rook check, queen takes, and now we both looked mainly at queen b4, and then I decided maybe queen b2 is better, and I couldn't decide. However, neither one of us realized queen b4 is a blunder, because white plays rook b3, which neither one of us saw, and white wins immediately. He's threatening the queen and the knight on f6, and that's it. And if rook d8, so I threaten his queen, he just takes my rook with check, and then takes my queen. So we both missed rook b3. In fact, if he hasn't looked at the game with a computer yet, he still doesn't know, but he probably has. This game has to be looked at with a computer because it's so interesting. So anyway, I was also considering queen b2 for other reasons. And now after he takes on f6 and I take on a6, I don't think black's winning here, but it's obviously better to have black. He can play something like rook d3, stopping rook d8. And this rook's not very good. And my king's not very good. So I don't know. Black's better because black's going to be a couple pawns up. But I don't know what's going on here. Okay. So luckily I didn't do this because I might have played queen b4 and missed rook b3 and just lost the game right away. Okay, so I saw knight f6 and I changed my mind. And I played something that'll make you guys happy. I played queen takes e5. Okay. And now I'm up 3 pawns. And I'm threatening to trade queens. And his bishop's hanging. So sounds good. Okay, he can't trade queens because then I'm up 3 pawns. And he can't ever win a piece because his piece is hanging. And he has back rank issues. Okay. So if he plays bishop takes b7 check, that could lead to a blunder. Although I wasn't going to blunder. I could take it, and then he plays rook takes knight check. And I don't have mate because his queen and rook have a battery there. Okay, so I just lose. So after bishop b7, I'm going to play the move king b8. Not king c7 because it's queen. I'll go back, sorry. Not king c7 because queen takes c6 check and my queen's hanging. Okay. And so king b8. And then this is similar to the game. In fact, it could transpose to the game. Okay, so instead of that, he played the other move. He played queen takes c6 check. I can't play king b8 because of mate and 1. Queen takes b7 is mate, so I play queen c7, of course. So this is funny. One move I was interested in was queen f3 with the idea of rook c3, pinning my queen. But I played g4, which we both saw. Why can't I play g4? Okay. And I'm attacking his queen, and he needs to keep his queen so that one of his rooks can pin my queen, but it's impossible. There's nowhere his queen can go where he's threatening to pin my queen, so now his bishop's hanging and his queen's hanging, so I'm winning. Okay, so therefore he has to play bishop takes b7 check, which he did. I played the only legal move. Now his bishop's hanging. He actually can play bishop a8 here, which I didn't see. I don't know if he saw it, but it's not better than what he did. It's just funny. Bishop a8's a funny move. Okay, so he traded queens. And I thought with the extra pawn I'd have good winning chances. But in fact, the move he played I thought was good, and the computer just prefers bishop f3. It says black is slightly better. Problem is, even though I'm a pawn up, my pawn's sort of useless. I have 4 to 3 on the king side. How am I going to get a queen over there? And my king's just more exposed than his. Bishop's better than my knight. His rooks are better than mine. My rook sucks over here. He played bishop a6. I thought the bishop was good on a6. Now here I made it like maybe the first move in the game the computer doesn't like, but then it sort of changed its mind and says it's okay. It wants me to play knight b6 and get my knight to d5, although I didn't like his bishop on a6 because my king is always getting trapped. So I didn't want to play something like knight b6 and then rook c1 check or rook c3 check. I don't know. And my king's like sitting, down here waiting to get checkmated. So I didn't like that. Like I don't have a king. So I just didn't like this position. Computer says that's the right way of playing for black. I played knight b8. I'm like, get out to his bishop. And when my king goes to b6, it's perfectly safe. My knight controls c6. Okay, he played rook c1 check. I played king b6. King d6 is a move that Varkobian wanted to play, but also seems to be equal. Always play bishop f1. And I couldn't find a move here. I was trying to figure out what to do. Problem is, if I try to trade rooks so my king is safe, he probably can just trade rooks because my king's side is hard to defend. I have all these pawns here that my rook has to defend. That's not so much fun. I mean, he's got rook h5 and rook h6 and rook h7 and bishop to d3. I don't know. This doesn't seem like it's so good. So I played rook to d5. That defends one of my pawns and prepares to double rooks. He played rook to c3. And now Problem is, if I move my rook off of h8, he can play rook h3, and then how do I save my pawn? So I figure I'll double rooks later, and I'll play h5. It turns out h6 makes more sense, and I'll show you why later. The computer just says this is equal, though. It doesn't even give black an advantage. Okay, so I played h5, and after rook c7, I played rook d7, and he played rook c5, threatening rook b5 check, and rook takes g5. Of course, if my pawn was on h6, which I was talking about earlier, in this position I said I could have played h6, then after rook c5, he wouldn't be threatening my pawn on g5, it would be defended, and I could play a6, stopping rook b5 check. So maybe that was a better winning try, but the computer says I got nothing. Okay, so h5, rook c7. Yeah, I just didn't like this position anymore. My knight's no good. My king could get mated. His rook's on the 7th rank. Yeah, my extra pawn's useless because I can't get a pass pawn. I can't do anything. So here we repeated. He kept threatening everything. I defended it. He threatened everything. I defended it. The game was really well played. Maybe there was one or two inaccurate moves, but very interesting. Game ended in a draw, but it was a real fascinating draw. Most of our analysis during the game was correct. Maybe not our judgment. And we both missed this one line where rook b3 could happen, but that line didn't occur. So, yeah, when it's game 90, you can't really expect, accuracy like you would if it was like 40 moves and 90 minutes, then game in 30, because, we need that extra time. And this is actually my first game that went 30 moves. All my other games were less than 30 moves, including my 2 decisive games. Okay, so I'm tied for 4th with 4 other people. So I could actually tie for first, and I could tie for last, depending on my last 2 rounds. If I win my last 2 rounds, which is extremely unlikely, I could tie for first or second place. And if I lose my last 2 rounds, I could tie for last place. The truth hurts. Well, that game was very enjoyable, actually. It was really interesting, a lot of variations, very hard to play, and ended in a draw, which I think was correct. So thanks for watching my videos at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Central Time. Don't even know what time zone I'm in. I'll be playing a Wonder Liang. A Wonder needs 2 points out of his next 2 rounds to get the GM norm. And I have the white pieces, which is good. And I'll make a video about that game tomorrow. That's my only game tomorrow. This is Grandmaster Ben Finegold. Please like and subscribe. Please donate. We've been pretty low on the donations lately. atlchessclub.com. And follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Bye, everyone.